For the night task, inside the views directory, we are creating this section expire auto spy, and this file is going to be containing this section expire out class that we inherit from section out, and it's going to be responsible for adding a section expiration duration for every section of the client. And because we don't want the session to last forever, and we are going to be overloading some of the methods of this sessional class to achieve having expiration time for session ID of the clients. So we already have the methods, two of the methods and the constructor here. So we are going to go ahead with the task. First, we are going to get the section duration from the environmental variable, which is where the section duration of the section in seconds will be held for every client. So I'm going to call it as duration into say get env to section duration. And then, but we know that from the environmental variable, this section duration is going to be a string. So what we can do is to try to convert it, pass it to an integer, and to do that we are going to use a try and assembler just to be able to catch any exception that might happen during the typecasting. So we use the int and then we pass in s duration, and then if there's any exception at all, which is most likely going to be value error. If there's any exception, you're going to set this to 0. It's going to have a default value of 0. And then afterwards, we are going to say self dot section duration equal to section duration. So the value of section duration either obtained from the environmental variable or set to 0 in case of any failure is assigned to this session duration attribute of the current instance. And then this attribute we are going to be is going to be used later in all of these class methods to determine the expiration time of the sections. So we are going to start with this create section method, and we are going to first call the create section method of the parent class, that is the section art, and I'm passing the user ID to retrieve the section ID. So we are going to say, since we are retrieving the section ID, we call super, that is calling the parent class, so call the create section, and then we pass in user ID, and then we are going to check if this create section return the section ID or not. If there is no section ID, we are going to return none. And then next is to create a dictionary that is going to contain the user ID and the current timestamps. This the whole class is all about creating a expiration time for the user. So we say user ID and we set it as user ID, and then we say created that, and we set it as date time now, and then We are going to store this section dictionary in the user ID by session ID dictionary. That's the in-memory storage we created in the section auth. You know that the section expiration auth inherited. You know that the section expiration auth inherited everything from the section auth, which is the parent class. So we are going to say self dot user ID by ID, and then we pass in section ID, and we set the value as the section dictionary. So this time is now the value is not just going to be the user ID, it's going to be the user ID and the time that it was created. And after this, we are going to return the section ID. And the next one is user ID for section ID. So this is where we are going to do some calculation with time and see when the session ID has expired or not. So first we are going to check that session ID is provided. So we say if not session ID, we return none. Then we are going to check if section ID exists in the section storage. Then we say if section ID is not in self dot self dot user by ID dot keys. If it's not there, we are going to return none. And then if it's there, we are going to retrieve the section dictionary for the given section ID. So we say section dictionary is equal to self dot user by ID, and then we pass in section ID, or let's use the get method just in case if it's not there, it shouldn't throw an error for us. So we use the get method, and then we are going to check that this section dictionary is not known, that it was actually retrieved from this in-memory storage. So we are going to say if not this, we are going to return none, and then we are going to check if the section duration, that's the attribute, we are going to check if it is set and if it's positive, that is if it is greater than 0. If it's greater than 0, it means that it's set. If it's not, it means that it's not set. So we say if self dot section, what is it called again, section duration is less than or equal to 0, then if it's less than or equal to 0, it means that the section has a time value for section ID. So we are going to return the user ID from the section dictionary. So we say section dictionary dot get, then we pass in user ID, and then next is to calculate the expiration time. But first we need to get the created that value of the session. This created that value, we need to try to retrieve it. So we are going to say created that, let me push this down, created that is equal to section dictionary that gets, and we person created that, and then if this created that, you're going to check that it has a value. So we say if not created that, we're going to return none. And then it's now that we are going to calculate the expiration time based on the section duration. So we're going to say expire time is equal to this created at, and then we add it to time delta, then we pass in seconds, which is section duration. And then with this expire time, we are going to use it to check if the current time exceeds the expiration time. So we are going to say if date time now is greater than expire time, then it means it has expired. And if the current time has not exceeded the expiration time, then we are going to return the user ID from the session dictionary, which means it has not expired yet. So we are going to return section dictionary dot get passing the user ID, which is what we want to return. So my bad, this is not supposed to be inside the views directory, it's supposed to be inside the auth directory. So I'm going to copy, I'm going to move all of this, and I'm going to delete this from here. Oh, oh, I'm going to just move it here. Yeah. So same way that we did for session auth and basic auth, we are going to go to app.py and instantiate this, the instance of section expiration, or the same way we did for these other two. So I'm going to copy this and I'll paste this here, and I say if this is equal to expiration auth, then I'll copy it from exp, and I import section expiration auth, and I'll set this to, and we are going to go ahead to test this. We are going to test this. So duration, session duration is 60 seconds, and I'm going to join the client, passing email and password. I try to log in, and I'll go grab my cookie. I'll copy it, show response, move this to go back to get method, and I'll try to access this page, and I'll come here and set this. Okay, so you see that we are still within the 60-second window. I'm going to keep doing this until 60 seconds has passed and see what's going to happen. $60. Does it take this long to reach 60 seconds? Okay, there you go. So we got into 60 seconds and the session has expired and we are now getting forbidden.